Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Moorish America. Want to rise and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are a living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Islam, Moors. We have a special measure for you tonight. And tonight's measure, as you can see, it will be dealing with this ADOS measure on the manifest now, American Descendants of Slavery. And our subject title, is actually stating to be from Moorish Americans. And I want to pull that down for you. From Moorish Americans to African descendants of slaves. Now, ask yourself this question. Is it even possible, perhaps in any way, to be a Moorish American and then become an African descendant of slavery? I mean, does that make any sense to you? Or does it sound like somebody's going backwards? Well, we just had a measure dealing with this special one, as the Moors who may be familiar with the post that we put up the other day. And the post pretty much has been trending. And so we got a contact from the brother Sheik Way Hale earlier. And basically the brother upset because we put this measure out on the manifest, acts that he been demonstrating. Now, the whole drawing, is to expose all of those who are claiming to love Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but demonstrating acts and actions that are in variance with their words, so to speak, in regards to dealing with this love and this so-called being Moorish American. You see, this is not a measure where we dealing with just beefing, going back and forth, because it ain't even that type of demonstration. We don't demonstrate like that. But we're going to speak the truth. Now, I want to address those of you who may have a problem with truth being brought on the manifest. The truth, has no means or reason to be apologetic. Now, if the truth is too much for you, then this video ain't for you. None of the information I put out here is for you. You can go get it elsewhere, somewhere where it may be more fitting for you. But if you truly want the truth, without conflict, without being mixed and diluted and so forth and so on, with support to back it, then I'm the one that's gonna bring that out on the manifest to you. I ain't gonna be here to fleece you, and also you always hear me say all the time that masterminds will never screen themselves for the sake of reputation and fame. You see? So I don't care how you view me when I put the truth out here, because it's not about me. This is about my people. This is about the young and not yet born. So if you are not, again, if you can't stomach the truth, if you can't accept the truth from being what it is, if you are too much into hero worship and personality worship, then this ain't for you. I'm giving you a warning right now. When it come down to dealing with what I'm getting ready to set out, definitely ain't gonna be a belligerent measure. I don't go back and forth behind with the cussing and all this type of measure here. I'm just putting truth out here on the manifest. Sheik Way Hale say he wanted to sit down in a dialogue. He said debate. But y'all know I don't debate. I deal with, dialogue. I said truth. I said facts out here on the manifest. Now whether somebody accept it, that's on them. I reached out to the brother 15 minutes prior to the time I told him I'd be on the manifest, and he ducking and dodging, so all that jumping up and down in the timeline and the thread acting as if he ready to demonstrate a dialogue, That was just a whole bunch of fluff, and what we like to call bluffing and carrying on. So we on the manifest now. We finna set a truth out here in the teaching and show you exactly how sick our people are and how sad they are and everybody involved. If you want to know what's going on, all you got to do is go to the previous thread dealing with Shake Way Hell concerning this special mention. But other than that, you're gonna see a whole bunch of madness going back and forth as far as dealing with these ones that don't want the truth, and then he bring those who think like him into the thread, to march into the thread. But the general opinion of men will never alter the nature of the truth, and he know that. See, you've been dealing with people, Moorish kin, that use Prophet Noble Drew Ali as a crutch, so to speak. They use Prophet Noble Drew Ali until they feel that they have used him up. And then when they get some form of what they think that they can call limelight, or what they want to call fame or success in their own eyes, in their own little world, they begin to try to speak, in opposition to the same prophet that, gave them a tongue to be able to speak, a voice, so to speak. Because had it not been for Prophet Noble Drew Ali, none of what you see on the manifest would be on the manifest. That's the man who started it all, so to speak, when it comes to our people, enlightening our people. So everything we demonstrate is from a level of love. We're not demonstrating, from an oppositional standpoint, a division standpoint, but we're going to point you out. If you out here faking, if you out here phony, we ain't going to beat around the bush about it. We're going to put it on the manifest so you know exactly what we talking about. Ain't no indirect shots being fired. We demonstrating straight on the manifest, coming straight to you, up in your chest with it. You feel me? That's how we demonstrating the truth over here. And so again, this is not about a debating or going back and forth. This is not a slander campaign or a mudslinging campaign. This is about the salvation of our people. And our people must know the truth. And I have the power and we'll say the line, so to speak, the power that has been vested in me through my holy prophet, to enforce his law. So that's what I'm doing. I'm enforcing the law. When you seen Yehoshua go into the temple when the money changers was prostituting the sacred rites, you didn't say, oh, Yehoshua was demonstrating a negative vibration. No, you say Yehoshua was demonstrating that way because somebody was demonstrating wrong. And Yehoshua didn't like the wrongdoing. When John called out those and he referred to them as a generation of vipers, you see, ones look at that as strong speech and so forth and so on. So I ain't even going into the aspect of calling ones out to that extent. I'm just giving you the truth. So again, if you can't take the truth, then you might want to get up out of this special demonstration. But I will say this right here. As far as, those of you who feel that you are in the truth, those who call themselves Moorish Americans and you can't get to draw it, may the great God Allah give you understanding. But for those of you who already have a heart full of poison, in opposition toward the body that I represent, we'll let Allah sort you out. And those who adhere to your teachings as well. So let me go on. Dealing with this demonstration, American Descendants of Slavery. This is an organization that was founded very recently. And we'll go here first because they got a briefing on it. Then I'm going to go to their actual page. Now, it says the American Descendants of Slavery ADOS is a lineage-focused political movement that seeks to advance for people who are descendants of the enslaved Africans in the United States from its colonial period onward. It grew out of the hashtag ADOS created by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. So this is a hashtag generated organization, something similar to the Black Lives Matter movement. Keep that in mind. ADOS have made reparations for the system of slavery in the United States a key tenet of their platform. They want colleges, employers, and the federal government to prioritize African Americans who descended from African American slaves, pardon self. And they argue that affirmative action policies originally designed to help the descendants of slavery in America have largely been used to benefit other groups. The American descendants of slavery, they say, should have their own racial category on the census. Their own racial category on the census forms. So they want the census form to state African descendants of slavery. So it said that they should have their own racial category on census forms and college applications, and not be lumped in with others with similar skin color but different historical experiences. One of its founders, Carnell, was a board member of Progressives for Immigration Reform, described by the Southern Poverty Law Center as an anti-immigration group. The other founder, Antonio Moore, wrote on liberal think tank Institute for Policy Studies site inequality.org on economics and race for several years. So now, I'm going to go on a little bit further. Members of American descendants of slavery, ADOS, are descendants of enslaved Africans, their captors, European slavers, and the original inhabitants of the North American continent during the time of chattel slavery and the Atlantic slave trade. Wait a minute, did you hear that? Members of American descendants of slavery, ADOS, are descendants of enslaved Africans, their captors, European slavers, and the original inhabitants of the North American continent during the time of chattel slavery and the Atlantic slave trade. Okay? So they are claiming descendancy from the line of their slave master. Oh, you think that's let me get a little deeper. Watch this. It says they are descendants of at least one ancestor who was forced into slavery within the established colonies in North America during the time of chattel slavery. The term descendants of slavery was originally coined by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during the Civil Rights era in the United States of America. The addition of American within the term is used to establish the specificity, It says there are other countries that also use the forced labor of enslaved people to develop their nation. American descendants of slavery refers specifically to the descendants of enslaved people held in captivity in North America during the initial establishment of the United States from the colonial era onward. ADOS cannot trace their ancestral roots to any specific country or tribe on the continent of Africa. Their African ancestors were sold into human trafficking, slavery, by African traders on the continent who made a profit from selling their enemies and other unfortunate people to European traffickers, slavers. Now, did you hear that? They say the ADOS cannot trace their ancestral roots to any specific country or tribe on the continent of Africa. We want to stop right there. Our beloved brother Marcus Mosai Garvey stated that a people without a nationality is like a tree without roots. Now, in other words, they had limited themselves, this particular organization have limited themselves to being descendants of slaves. You hear this now? This is before I go deeper into this mission. The ADOS cannot trace their ancestral roots to any specific country or tribe on the continent of Africa. So, I'm going to keep going. We almost done. ADOS political movement. The movement intends to correct the view of outsiders by using statistical and historical data and evidence to speak to the reality of modern life for ADOS, formerly referred to as African Americans. So now we went from a stage of Negro, we went from a stage of black, we went from a stage of colored, we went from a stage of being Ethiopian, still with the thought pattern on the manifest, to African Americans now, right? And now they want to go from being an African American to an American descendant of slavery, whose lives have been impacted heavily by socioeconomic struggles created by chattel slavery, segregation and Jim Crow, the practice of redlining, convict leasing, mass incarceration, and discrimination still found in various forms within the structure of the American political economic system today. The group continues the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with the continued fight for socioeconomic justice and economic justice as it demands reparative justice and the opportunities they have historically been denied within America. So basically, this organization is focused upon civil rights. They can't trace their ancestral roots to a specific country or tribe on the continent of Africa. They embrace the European as their father, so they are claiming themselves as American for that particular reason. And then they are going into the civil rights fight. Now I'm going to let that marinate. I want you to think about that a bit. With all due respect to our brother Martin Luther King, what he did was for his time and his era. That's all he knew. Our beloved brother Malcolm began to fight for human rights. So how can you receive civil rights and you don't have human rights? This has been a question when it comes to our people for the longest. All you got to do is look at the news right now. Do you see yourself receiving civil rights anytime soon? Let's go a little further. It states, as ADOS explains on its policy page, the group key objective is for reparations for the descendants of slaves who were held in captivity in the United States, as well as a larger black agenda that demands a new deal for black America. So they got a new black agenda, which would deal with a new deal for black America, as they call it, right? Now, anytime you see the word deal on the manifest, you know, you got to really pay attention to this. Because every time somebody tried to broker a deal in regards to dealing with our people, it didn't turn out well. So it goes on and says, this agenda includes but not limited to lineage-specific set-asides for American descendants of chattel slavery, restoration of the protections of the Voting Rights Act, still trying to fight to hold on to a house that's burning down. Man, our people sick. A minimum of 15% of small business association loans be distributed ADOS businesses. A multi-billion dollar infrastructure plan targeted to ADOS communities, along with financial compensation for benign neglect of those communities by environmental protection agencies, the EPA, and federal government comprehensive prison reform and rehabilitation and refocused oversight and enforcement of ADOS economic inclusion from American banks, ADOS college debt forgiveness and health care coverage. This is a welfare recipient mentality. Yeah, I said it. So our people are still trying to demonstrate within a paradigm that's based upon their oppression, and still don't have the sense to know that it is time to demonstrate as a successionist. It's time to demonstrate self-determination. What part of that y'all don't comprehend? You can't even get a stimulus check, and we're going to get to that in a minute. You can't even get a stimulus check. Let's knowing all this other stuff you philosophizing about over here. Supporters of ADOS push the issue on social media with the hashtag ADOS. As a movement, ADOS draws value from the use of social media and sets out to shift the dialogue around the identity of what it is to be African American, in effort to move the discussion from melanin to the lineage of an American population whose ancestors built the wealth of the United States. So they want to deny their melanin, so that's why they took the African part out of it, y'all, to deal with the lineage of the American population whose descendants they say built the wealth of the United States, right? We already know that we contributed due to our slave labor, building this and building that. But it wasn't built for you. It wasn't built in your best interest. So what are you fighting for? Now, I'm not here to mark my people, because of their efforts of trying to demonstrate what they demonstrate. But I have choice words for those who claim to be Moorish Americans and claim to be part and partial of proclaiming themselves as Moors and demonstrating this way as well. How can you be free and a slave at the same time? That's impossible. All you're doing is wasting more time and setting our people back time and time again, over and over and over again. And the reason you're focusing on reparation, this shows the God that you're chasing. You in it for the money. You don't care about the salvation of our people. You looking for what monetarily benefits you. And it's sad because we have these type of what I would like to call prosperity preachers and teachers on the manifest that has our people in a state of mind where they feel like they should have their hands out, as opposed to wondering how they can contribute to building a nation. They worry about, what they can get, from people in the process of building a nation. And if you ain't got nothing to offer them on the monetary aspect, then this automatically makes you null and void. Then you're doing nothing for the community, when all of our people are broke as a whole. I showed you time and time again that money don't make the man, like Prophet Noble Drew Ali said. He said free national standards, principles, and power is what make the man. So if that's the case, the unity is what we lack as a people. Now, let me go on into this. Here's the website. That's the sister that's one of the founders of it. I want to go over here to the agenda. This is the black agenda that they have, right? Now, this is what they are asking under somebody else's jurisdiction, under somebody else's government. As a specific group with a specific justice claim, the ADOS movement demands a specific agenda with policy prescriptions that address the losses stemming from the institution of slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, convict leasing, mass incarceration, immigration. Same stuff you're seeing in Wikipedia. They say we demand a new deal for Black America, which includes, but is not limited to, we need set-asides for American descendants of slavery, not minorities. Now, they want to distance themselves from being minorities, but if you're American descendant of slavery, you're a minority. You automatically place yourself in that category. not minorities. It's a throwaway category which includes all groups except white men. It's a that categorization has allowed Democrats to use programs like affirmative actions and give as giveaways to all groups in exchange for votes. The bribery must end. That begins with a new designation on the census with ADOS. Now, somehow they feel magically this term African descendant of slavery is going to magically, basically correct their position and correct their status as a slave. And another black, it said also in another for black immigrants. Black immigrants should be barred from accessing affirmative action and other set-asides intended for ADOS, as should Asians, Latinos, white women, and other minority groups. In addition, ADOS hired and employment data, it say, must be demanded for all businesses receiving tax credits, incentives, and governmental support, as well as all governmental agencies, national, state, and local. It is our belief that this will show that there are minimal, if any, ADOS professionals in the fields included, but not limited to engineering, medical, legal, and tech. So here they is now. They're going to tell these Europeans, where they should be giving their funds and where they going to give their money to. Stop giving it to these people right here, and give it to us. Now think about this. By the time the European even read this foolery and tend to this foolery, our people done been set back 300 more years. So rather than demonstrating self-determination and building your own nation, working toward that, you still trying to vote within a machine that you see is consuming you. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It says once affirmative action is streamlined as a government program, not their own government program, but the government program that they finna force the United States to accept, I guess. And only specifically for ADOS, the program should be fully reinstituted. The Supreme Court decided wrongly when it gutted the Voting Rights Act. As the Atlanta Journal-Constitution article, it's time to solve the mystery of the 100,000 mystery votes indicates the protections outlined in the Voting Rights Act are essential to protecting the rights of the ADOS in America. Reinstituting the protections of Voting Rights Act is the key part of our agenda. So again, no intention of demonstrating self-determination. Only putting some more boule Negroes, in that particular seat to continue to fleece our people. They went also into black businesses and different loans that are received and a whole bunch of stuff. When you get a chance, go in there and read it yourself. But it's just a bunch of foolery and a bunch of being a beggar nation. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that a beggar nation can never attain to its highest degree of spirituality, so to speak. Or highest degree of being a person, for that matter, to paraphrase. Right? So they got a whole bunch of stuff on here, and the main thing they geared in is dealing with reparations. They want reparations. They got a roadmap to reparations and so forth and so on. Well, guess what? Slaves are not due reparations. You got to be a nation to receive reparations. First and foremost, who are you? You don't exist. Anything that's considered NBC, Negro, black, colored, African American, even all other persons is property. Property is not due reparations. When have you ever seen a European invest in some property that they didn't get a return on? When have you ever seen a European invest in property that they would lose as a result of that investment? I'm going to let you think on that a bit. Now, here's another group I guess they are part and partial of them, similar. They calling themselves the American slaves. The flag, this is the flag for the American slaves and descendants of American slaves. It might be the flag that they got. That's another version of it. Man, our people, my people, my people. Look at this brother. Look at it. He's smiling. He got him a flag. He ain't got a land to plant it in. He ain't got a constitution to back it. He ain't got a grand national seal or emblem to support it. But he just as happy as he can be, ain't it? Kool-Aid smiling over here. With nothing. Here's one of the posts that you often see these individuals posting. I am a reparationist. ADOS. They need to just go ahead and add the I behind the D. Adios, amigo. I am a reparationist. I am somebody. So, we gonna get deep. We ain't even got to the meat of this measure. We just showing you. We want you to give you an outline of this particular organization here. You know, and we gonna make it plain. Islam, Moorish kin. Islam, goddess, Sister Alicia, and Islam to the God man. Islam, brother Beatty Bay, and also our brother that's over here in Florida with me in the Apalachicola area. Can't think of the brother attribute right now, but par himself, Islam. So this is what we got going on, though, family. And like I said, we're not trying to mark these as special ones, but you have to laugh to keep from. Goodness gracious. This is the basic definition of the word reparations. Right? The making of amends for wrong injury done. Now, is it possible to injure property? Does property even have feelings or emotion? You know, because property is normally like this laptop that I'm speaking from. You know, property is anything that's around you that's tangible that you own or possess ownership over. You know? Now, you might be able to invest in some form of property that you can get some return on. You know? You can capitalize off of it, so to speak. Because the European been capitalizing off of us for the longest. But nevertheless, how can property receive reparations? How has property been wronged? Other than you proving that you have been made property and unjustly treated as such. But if you accept in your condition as being an American descendant of a slave, then you have nothing coming to you but more enslavement. So it says usually reparation, compensation in money, material, labor, etc. payable by a defeated country to another country or to an individual for loss suffered, they say, during or as a result of war. Restoration to good condition. So tell me, how does property fall into this category? Just with the basic definition of reparations. Show me how somebody made war with property. Now we get to talking about the Ma'afa and so forth and so on, and you begin to become a nation of people. Then you can get into talking about, you know, human trafficking. You know, you got a multitude of charges. Denationalization. You can bring all these things right here up. But outside of that right there, you beating a dead horse, basically. Let me go on, because I want to get right to the point. And you see me demonstrate this all the time, since we talking about property. Now, even the ADOS is just an organization. This is a statute right here. 515-329. Look at this closely. Not only is a person subject to the jurisdiction of the United States considered property, but even when they establish an organization That organization is considered property. And also those who become members of the membership are descendants of that property. And that's why you see me with these different symbols down here. It's not to mark those who are part of these particular organizations, those who are part and partial of them. It's not to mock them. It's just to tell you the truth of the matter. Now the question is, do you wish to remain as such? Do you wish to remain just as an organization and set up another organization and then call it a nation while being nationless? It may sound good. It may sound good to romanticize about being a nation, but until you are truly free as a nation of people, you just playing with yourself. So it says any individual, whether wherever located, who is a citizen or a resident of the United States, any corporation, partnership, association, or other organization organized under the laws of the United States or of any state, territory, possession, or district of the United States. Boy, they wasn't trying to leave nothing out, was they? They was trying to make sure they covered everything. They were trying to kill every bird with one stone, wasn't they? Any corporation, partnership, association, they're going to reiterate it, or other organization, wherever organized or doing business that is owned or controlled by persons specified in paragraphs A or C. All of them, property, persons, property. So if you're not considered an American citizen, because you property, you slave, or if they refer to you as all other persons, then you're under corporate governance. You're under the jurisdiction, assumable jurisdiction of another people. I don't care what you call yourself. Hebrew Israelite, Nation of Islam, MST of A, so forth and so on. You still subject to that jurisdiction. That's not a negative measure we bringing on it. We just giving you the history. Don't get mad at me for telling you the truth. Do the research. This is not being put out here to tear these particular bodies down. We're telling you what status that you are in. So if you're in either one of these statuses here, you ain't got no business talking about you're a nation. You ain't got no business talking about you're a government. Yeah, we can throw these words around and use them loosely. But are you truly a nation? Where's your sovereign power? And the problem is, more than anything, it's not the fact that you are not a nation, but you're not working toward that. But if you see your people that are working toward demonstrating as a nation, even if you don't want to be part and partial of that, then you should just step to the side and get out the way. But don't complain if you want to remain under that slave thing, because your Moorish kin want to demonstrate self-determination. But I'm going to show you what we're dealing with here. You know, because like I say, the brother, you know, he hit me up talking about he wanted the dialogue. And then I got off my call and he ain't nowhere to be found. He was just basically dealing with a lot of fluff. So we finna point everything out. Everything I said up to this point led us right here. This is supposed to be a former member of the MST of A. At least he said he's dealing with this. And so this is one of the pages. That's the old page right there. We're going to do it like this. There we go. And I ain't even got to go there. Better yet, I got everything right here. Now this is coming from this brother's page. Now take a look at this. This is one of the measures he just posted. Now he's supposed to have been a Moorish American. He's still wearing the L on the back of his name. He calling himself Lord Abba. He wants y'all to know who he is, because you know him by that name. Take a look at the flag that he has here in his icon. This is part and parcel of the organizations he's part of. United Sons and Daughters of Freedom is officially a tax-exempt organization under 501c3. We'll receive the determination letter next week. And we want to thank everybody for the contribution. Now we're going to get on the website. Okay, this is another organization, I guess, one has established. Now, this same brother came up with what he called the Moorish American Party at one time, where he actually had the eagle, with with Moorish symbols on it. He took the United States symbol and tried to remix it. But let me show you something here. Here's another measure from the brother's Twitter. And this is public information. Because when you go to talking about you want to debate and dialogue with me, I'm going to do my background check on you and see what it is you really demonstrate. So now you coming from a state of being NOI, 5%er, Hebrew Israelite, Malachi Yorkite, into Moorish American, then into Western Freemasonry. Now you're an American descendant of slavery. Because we got to call you out now in every process you done took. Because I know you're going to get this one here if you ain't watching it yet. I hope you is, because I want to make it plain to you. He say, so I gets this letter in the mail after waiting weeks for the stimulus money. If you owe child support, no stimulus money for you. The price of being a DOS. Now that sounds like somebody that's defeated. American descendant of slavery. In America, the richest nation on earth, huh? So you mad at these people because they don't want to demonstrate, giving you money, and pretty much supplying your welfare recipient mentality. You don't want to be a real nation. You done defected away from the prophet's teachings. And you got the nerve to be up here trying to be in opposition to the Moorish American government, the only government in which you and anybody else can live. So we coming straight for you. Like I say, I'm all up in your chest with it. We don't shoot 22s, or we don't go halfway. We're going to put it out here. And the main thing here is, if you are a man, then why are you in this particular predicament in the first place? Because slaves don't have families. Slaves can't be husbands. Slaves can't be wives. Slaves can't be a family with children. You can't be a man and a woman as an American descendant of a slave, brother. But I guess you love slavery, though. Here's another measure that you retweeted right here. If it were not for the black patriots, there would be no USA. Now imagine coming from Moorish science to this type of thought pattern. All of those who fought in these wars were slaves. You do know that one of the symbols, if I ain't mistaken, I guess that's the flag behind him that they're trying to demonstrate now. But nevertheless, it don't belong to you. I guess you didn't get the memo. What you think the red represents? Didn't it represent the bloodshed of your ancestors? Didn't the white have to do with supremacy? And the blue had to do with a heaven that you was told that you would live under that you never seen? You ain't seen pie fall out of that sky yet. Here's another measure. Oh, he proudly represented. See, I told y'all to stop playing with me. All that back and forth and all that right there, I'm going to expose you. I'm going to put you out here for who you really are. And then the brother say, when did I ever say that I was a Western Freemason? And we already put the information out here where the brother actually stated it. But he trying to deny it. Ain't no problem. All is well, brother. If you want to be dishonest with yourself, that's what it is. But my thing is, if not for you, my brother, at least lay a foundation for the seeds that come after you. Don't go back into the coffin, shake way hell. Don't go back into the coffin, brother. Me as your Moorish kin, I'm calling you back from the coffin, brother. Don't do it. We got a brother in the Moorish American government, our brother Justice L. Bay. He always say, if you don't like it, you can go your behind to the highest Moorish American bridge and jump your behind right back off into, this is special slavery, into this same place where the prophet found you. And you did just that, brother. You did just that. And I hope you're proud of yourself. But we can't let you take our people with you, though. So we got to put you out there. So everything you wrote about our prophet, you won't be making no more money off of them books. It won't be no more fun than coming from no books you done wrote about Noble Drew Ali. Ain't gonna be no living happily ever after. While fleecing the people. We gonna put you out there on the front street. You can't sell that malarkey to the people no more. The truth is on the manifest, and the arm of Allah and his justice has not been weakened. And we already know you can't get strength from weak sources. So that's why I'm on the manifest right now. I'm the strength of Allah made manifest. So you adios, huh? You African descendant, American descendant of slaves, huh? You proud of that, huh? Here's another measure here where he's endorsing candidates. And see, they confused because they don't know what they want to endorse, the Democratic or the Republican Party and so forth and so on. They just want to dine with everything, and it's just a sad case, Moorish kin. And for those of you who don't know, it was a brother, who, I had a lot of respect for, that had, we drawed a couple of times. He was a Moor, and him and this brother got close to each other. They were pretty close with each other. And he was part and parcel of that lodge. And so me and him would go back and forth on that lodge demonstration, but it was never nothing to the extent that where there was no beef and conflict. But if you go look into the original posts in regards to dealing with, this ADOS demonstration, you'll see him saying some real foul things in there. And I don't entertain that. I didn't even know it was the brother until I went in the picture, but we're going to get on him in a minute too. That's the icing on this special cake that we just baked. So we're going to put that out here too, so you'll know him as well. And we're going to put his book out there so you can see too that he like to fleece the people, since he want to get involved in something he ain't got no business with. So nevertheless, this is what we have right here on the manifest, Moorish kin. We got a lot of people proclaiming to be Moorish American Muslims, acting as if they are part and parcel of uplifting fallen humanity. And when they get enough, that they feel that they got enough, then they keep it moving. Then they begin, I want to blow that up a little bit right there and make sure you see that. He's a reparationist. The brother say he's a reparationist now. God almighty, no. And this stuff, it's really starting to become a circus now. Because everywhere I look, I see different individuals out here, Moorish kin. Everywhere we go, they don't want to go the right way. Like my 5% brothers used to say when we demonstrated, in the past, easy to be led in the wrong direction, hard to be led in the right. 85% blind, deaf, and dumb. Goodness gracious. And he know that lesson. How do you go from all those schools of thoughts and go back into slavery? And people are putting you up on a pedestal like you're a super scholar. That's because you ain't ran into somebody that really know truth. But all that sticking your chest out, that go for you and a whole bunch of more. You ain't the only one that we going to expose and put out here. It's a couple of more of them that got to be put out here, because I'm cleaning up a mess, and the debris that y'all done left behind with this foolery and fleecing our people and playing with our people. Them days over. And I stand on everything that I say. Trust that. I'm real as they come. All that other stuff y'all talking about, you'd rather see me in the Moorish American garb than any other garb. I'm going to just say that right there. But let me go back to this special measure, because this is a brief drawing, and we're getting ready to close this demonstration out. So this is the brother that I was referring to. You know, and he done pretty much went incognito on all his pages. But you'll know who he is when I get done with this special measure in a minute. You know, this special brother was known as Zachary Grimilion L. You know, and he's demonstrating MST of A, New Orleans. You know, and he was a brother that was wavering back and forth in his ways in regards to dealing with the temple. Always been part of the Masonic order in the shrine and so forth and so on. So I'm pretty sure that he was the one that encouraged Lord Abba or Blabber or Shakeway Hill to come up in there with him. You know, whatever the case may be, that's all good and well if that's where you want to go. You know, but that's the one that's fat mouthing too in that other thread if you go over there. Since he want to jump into this special measure, this is the book he wrote. See this book right here. If you ever seen this book, he's the author of this book. So you see how it always end up coming back to the same thing when you're dealing with those who are demonstrating under these measures Moorish kin. They think they slick. It's almost an insult. You gonna try to get over on our people. And the brother had plenty of videos. This brother here had plenty of videos. Fez on his head. Everything. Talking about Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I think he was even made of sheep. I don't know if it was through a legitimate body, but I know him and Shakeway Hill had a lot going on. You know, so goodness gracious. I'm gonna turn you on to this special video, and we're gonna bring this to an end. This is him here speaking in the lodge.
And overall, the truth is that this symbol, the double-headed eagle, is old, and it has its origin in the ancient black civilizations that existed in Asia, known to us as the Great Sumerian City of the Gods, around 4000 BC or more. Therefore, when the right of perfection from which our Scottish right descent started using this symbol, it was already 5,000 years old. And the form of the double-headed eagle was also rumored to have been used in pre-dynastic Egypt.
Now you know, notice that he say our Scottish right. You see they had a little man, I'ma just let you go on. I ain't never goodness gracious.
Which were the first group of Africans to populate the Nile Valley, and part and parcel of the rest of the continent of black Africans of that continent, This symbol, the double-headed eagle, was brought to light when stone mounds were excavated in the ancient city of Lagash in Sumeria, the major city of ancient southern Babylon. We know this part of the world today is modern-day Iraq. And with all due respect to the folks that are living there today, they are not the original inhabitants or the founders of the ancient civilizations that they inhabit today. History and archaeology has proven that Sumer was inhabited by a black Africoid race. The cylinders of which was taken from the stone mounds mentioned earlier was deposited there by Gudea, the ruler of Gadash.
Now notice, this is stuff coming out of his book, right? This is coming out of the book that the brother wrote. I want to go back right here. This is coming out of his book. Now, he pushing a black agenda through the lodge. So, Lord Abba followed behind him through the lodge. Now, Lord Abba is in opposition to Noble Drew Ali. Lord Abba said when he come back to the temple after going through the shrine, who gonna stop him from being a grand sheik? Well, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Whatever he do as far as that, that's on, our family in the MST of A. But then he came back and said that he wasn't part and partial of the Freemasonic demonstration. I'm gonna show it to you right here, so don't nobody think I'm playing. So I'm showing you how serious this Boule demonstration get, family. These ones are really, working within our demonstration, to try to tear something up. They really trying to tear something up. So we're gonna keep pointing them out. We got to continue to guide the people in the right direction, family. And this is the thread where the brother was all up in here. You see him he called me a coward and all types of other stuff, right? So when you come into this thread, if you ain't been in it already, because most of our people already been in this thread right here. And this thread right here, when I set them out there, pretty much, they be on fire for probably 3-4 days or whatever. Because, I'm putting the truth out there so plain, one's getting grand drawings out of here. I'm trying to find that actual measure here. I know Facebook they like to take stuff down too. Hold up, here we go. I asked him, was he ready and everything? And he ain't came yet. Let me see, right here. Okay. Where is it at? Right there. I think he might have erased it. That's what might have happened, because he done that before. He actually ethered one thread years ago. We was in a thread and trying to hide the truth. He went and erased it. And that's what let me see that he was a dishonest brother. And that's the site he tried to get me to come on to demonstrate this so-called debate. And I told him I demonstrate dialogues. I don't deal with debates and so forth and so on. Okay, it might be in this area here. Let me see. Because there was other Moors in here trying to correct that one. Yeah, he went in there. But nevertheless, we already put it out there in his page. Looked like he deleted the comment, Moorish Ken. But that's how they do, though. That's exactly how they do. When they get out there and go to putting themselves on a particular pedestal, they go to putting this stuff out there and then trying to retract their statements. And the brother definitely said that he was part and partial. He was going into the lodge. But that's his business. My main thing is, when it come down to it, either you going to be Moorish American or you ain't. Stop playing with the prophet teachings. You know what I'm saying? Stop acting like you a Moorish American Muslim. And just be what you going to be. If you going to be a slave, be a slave. But on my watch, I ain't going to let you take my people into bondage and act like you part and partial, while low key you really demonstrating, that below level degree. It ain't gonna happen with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep teaching my people and keep bringing the knowledge of self to them, and I'm gonna keep exposing you fakers. And this the measure right here, what I was actually pointing out before that he tried to deny. You see it right here again. He said he had an application for the lodge, and he was going through their rights to pass their toughest tests, and then he was going into the shrine to demonstrate the Muslim degrees, right? And then when they start getting on him in the thread, when you go back in here again, and he had a whole bunch of stuff posted up through here, he said, when he go up through that demonstration, he said by the time he come back, You know who gonna stop him from being a grand sheik? So it's just a bunch of foolery. This is my last time dealing with this particular thread here. You know, but that's a statement right there. So if I decided to get back into the MST of A, I'll be a Prince Hall Master Mason and a Grand Sheik of the MST of A. Who gonna stop it or otherwise? You see what I'm saying? So man, we gotta stop playing with our people, family. You know, and bring our people into the knowledge of self. Embrace what it means to be who you are as a people. You know, because every time I see you out here on the folly, I'm gonna put you out there. You feel me? And I can stand on anything that I speak. You know, I didn't come out here to demonstrate the truth, you know, and be one that is caught up with fear. I'm upright, independent, and fearless. I don't even have to say it. You know, you can feel my energy. You ain't got to even be in my presence. You know, so when it come down to that right there, man, if you continue and you want to be a slave, just go back into that grave. You know, but don't be acting like you Moorish out here, family. Don't act like don't put no fezzes on your head running around over here, because you're American descendant of slavery. You know, now for you Moors that thought this was your champion, I hope you get the measure and get the drawing. You know, that being said, I'm gonna close this demonstration out. But just keep your eyes open, Moorish kin, for these imposters, these fakers and phonies. One thing about me, I've been Moorish American and MAG when it came in, and I'm Moorish American MAG, you know, when I leave up out this demonstration. Believe that. Ain't gonna be no flip-flopping and all that type of demonstration right there. I am exactly who I demonstrate and what I am and what I am. So Islam, peace and love, gratitude.